I got a rather good comment not too long ago, just on my last video, that made me think about a few things, and I just want to share some thoughts with you about programming and about getting stuff done when programming in general. And this is sort of one of my processes, and it's a little unconventional. And just to go a little further back on that, I tend to be a little unconventional, as you may or may not have noticed. I don't tend to follow all the rules, although I like to know the rules so I know when I can essentially break them or when I must follow them and that sort of thing. But oftentimes, if you try to follow every single rule, what ends up happening is you just get stuck because you come across a roadblock, and it's not like a real roadblock. It's just like, oh, well, you could just get it done, but you're not allowed to. So what do? You just sit there stuck forever, or do you just get it done anyway? And most of the time for me, as long as it's not hurting anyone, I tend to just go for the get it done type of method. And that's true for about everything I do. I try not to spend an exorbitant amount of time on any one particular thing, although it does tend to happen. So let me just dive in and show you an example. So in my last video, I was just showing some tests and showing some things on this program I'm writing. And one of the things I'm doing that's rather unconventional with these tests is up at the top of my test, I have all these globals. They're essentially just reused stuff, constants for model paths that are being reloaded over and over. And normally this is bad practice. And someone pointed that out, and they're not wrong. It is bad practice. But the thing is, I'm trying to test a different scenario than most tests test. As this is a game engine, one of the things that I was having trouble with getting correct in this whole entire engine, as it's getting more complicated all the time and bigger all the time and changing frequently, is I was having a little trouble managing every little thing. Sometimes when I unload things, I'll forget to unload some certain thing, or maybe I shared access to some object somewhere and forgot about it because there's a lot of things that need to talk to each other, and it's not always super easy to keep track of. And one of the ways I started tracking that was I just basically made sure all these values were properly reset. And you can't necessarily do that between tests. If you destroy all the stuff and completely close everything, sure, it shuts down. You don't actually leak memory. Like if you have a memory leak case, for example, where your program would normally leak memory here, and you just close the program, it does release the memory, but you still have the memory leak that you should fix, but you won't notice it if you just close the program. So the point here is, I don't just close the program. I leave it running as it's right here. It's a global. Instead, think of like a PlayStation or an Xbox or something. Sometimes you hit the reset button, right? You don't fully power it off and cut the power and then power it back on. Instead, you just call a reset on all its core values and have it reinitialize everything. So I want it to shut down the sound devices. I want to shut down the graphics stuff. I want to shut down anything else like that is needed initialized to get up and running. And this gets tricky with static variables too. The static variables don't shut down on their own. They stay in scope forever, essentially. Once they're initialized, they don't reinitialize, so you have to manually deinitialize them. So you got to be really careful about static values. And there's some of those in this engine to try to make things more efficient. For example, when you load a model, the importer is generally static, so that if you load like 10 models in a row, it doesn't keep recreating the importer. It just makes it once, and it's more efficient that way. Basically, I'm breaking some C++ standards guidelines quite frequently, and the reason I'm doing that is to actually be able to get stuff done. Like if I start doing something and I have the thought that, does this follow the core guidelines? I could go research the guidelines all day, or I could use the knowledge I have about C++ and about how things work and just make cases that seem to work for this scenario. So the whole point of this is, it's like the old saying, you gotta crack a few eggs to make an omelet. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't follow rules and convention. I think in general you should, but if you're trying to be productive, you're always going to come up with scenarios, or always going to run into scenarios where the roadblock is not a physical thing. The roadblock is not actually there. It's just simply like this mental block of, oh, but there's a rule that says I can't do that. And of course, those rules have good reasons, like when you're driving and you come to a stoplight, if it's red, you stop. If you're in a rush though, maybe it's a life and death situation, and you can see very clearly that there's no cars and there's a 0% chance of any accident, you can say, look, maybe it's more important that I get this person I'm rushing to the hospital than I sit here at a road with zero traffic at a stoplight. The point is, you can see it clearly, you can use your own judgment, and you don't necessarily need to follow the rules. And I think some people might just need to hear this sort of thing. It is urgent. It's kind of even hard to say. Like, it's a fact of life that our time here is limited. The stuff you get done is kind of urgent. You either get it done or you don't. You don't get like bonus time. You don't get extra days at the end of the road. It's just over, man. So as hard as that is to say and hear, it is the truth. And here I am breaking yet another convention by telling you that, because that's not something people just tell you generally. But that's the reality of things. So that's a thing that sometimes you just need to get things done and not really worry about what everybody's going to say and all that stuff. Anyway, hope you got something out of this video. If you did, consider hitting the like button and follow. We'll be updating this. I'm going to do another vlog on this engine. There's been a lot of changes. I'm doing a vlog a month pretty much. And yeah, I've kind of got a system worked out, but we'll see where it goes. A lot of plans for the future of it, but I just wanted to make this quick one-off to basically just explain that if you want to actually get stuff done, you just got to do it, man. And you got to not think about every single rule and regulation and what people are going to think. You just got to do it. Well, that's it for this video. Peace out, guys. Also, if you want to see more videos and higher productions, consider visiting the sponsor of this video, me and my Patreon, and the link will be down below. Any amount helps and helps keep this channel going and me producing videos and content. And I'll see you guys later. Peace out.